All right, so this morning we're gonna do a pumpkin craft. So you'll need this paper with all your pieces stapled together or paper clipped, and then first we'll read our pumpkin book. And you'll also need scissors and glue. This is called there's the word the, T-H-E, T-H-E. I can spell the, T-H-E, the bumpy little pumpkin. Ooh, look at this big house. Little Nell, so this is Little Nell, lived with Big Mama, Big Sarah, and Big Lizzie in a great big house in a great big woods. Behind the great big house, there was a great big garden. And in the great big garden, there was a great big pumpkin patch. All summer long, Little Nell had helped her family water and weed so that the pumpkins would grow big and orange for Halloween. When Halloween finally came, Big Mama called Little Nell and her sisters to the kitchen. "It's time for you, each of you, to pick a pumpkin to carve," she said in her big blustery voice. "Me too?" asked Little Nell. "You too," said Big Mama. So Little Nell followed her sisters out to the pumpkin patch. "There were so many wonderful pumpkins, it's hard to choose," said Big Sarah. She picked up a tall, skinny pumpkin. "I think I like this one." Big Lizzie picked up a round, fat pumpkin. "This is the one for me," she said. But Little Nell couldn't decide. She walked back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, looking at all the pumpkins. Some were big, some were small, some were crooked, some were tall, but none of them was just right. At last she came to the end of the patch, and there sat a bumpy little pumpkin all by itself. "This one's my favorite," said Little Nell. "It's bumpy and little and ugly," said Big Lizzie. It could have a nice smiley face," said Little Nell. "No way," said Big Sarah. "How about a nice smooth one instead?" "I like the bumpy one," said Little Nell. Big Sarah and Big Lizzie rolled their eyes. "We're going to take our pumpkins inside," said Big Sarah. "You keep looking till you find a bigger, better one. Then we'll help you carve it," they said. So her sisters don't like the pumpkin she chose. After they left, Little Nell sat down next to her bumpy little pumpkin. A tiny tear fell down her cheek, then another, then another. Do you notice anything about this page? There are 3 friends that are going to come talk to her. 1, 2, 3. Her friends, Reindeer, Hare, and Bear Cub, came along. "What's wrong?" asked Bear Cub. Little Nell sniffed and snuffled. "Big Lizzie and Big Sarah think that my pumpkin is too bumpy and too little and too ugly to make a good jack-o'-lantern." "I don't think it's too bumpy," said Bear Cub. "Or too little," said Reindeer. "Or too ugly," said Hare. "You don't?" asked Little Nell. "No," said the animals. "This pumpkin would make a great jack-o'-lantern," said Reindeer, "and we can help you carve it." "How?" asked Little Nell. "Like this," said Reindeer, and he lowered his head and he cut around and around the top until he'd carved the lid. "Oh," said Little Nell, "that's perfect." So he used his antlers, look, to cut the top open. It's good to have friends. "I can scoop out the inside," said Bear Cub. "How?" asked Little Nell. "Like this," said Bear Cub, and he clawed and pawed and pawed and clawed until there was nothing left but an empty pumpkin shell. "Oh, goody," said Little Nell. "Now for the face. How can we make a face?" "Let's ask the birds to help," said Hare. So Little Nell whistled for the birds. Crow, Cardinal, and Sparrow flew down from the trees. "Could you make the face for my jack-o'-lantern?" asked Little Nell. "What kind of a face?" asked Cardinal. With her finger, Little Nell etched and sketched a face in the dirt. It had triangles for the eyes, a square for a nose, and a smiley, lopsided mouth. "Like this," she said. So Cardinal Crow and Sparrow poked and pecked and pecked and poked until the pumpkin had a face. At last, the jack-o'-lantern was finished. Little Nell smiled a tiny smile. "I can't wait to show it to Big Mama, Big Sarah, and Big Lizzie," she said. Then she picked it up and ran all the way to the house. Look how little it is and how little she is. "What a beautiful jack-o'-lantern," said Big Mama. "Where did you get it?" "From our pumpkin patch," said Little Nell. "But who helped you carve it?" asked Big Sarah. "My friends, Reindeer, Bear Cub, and Hare," said Little Nell. "Well, I still think it's ugly and bumpy," said Big Lizzie. "Oh, nonsense," said Mama. "Jack-o'-lanterns come in all shapes and sizes." The girls placed their jack-o'-lanterns near the door, and Big Mama lit them. "Mine's cool," said Sarah. "Mine's even cooler," said Big Lizzie. "They're all wonderful," said Big Mama. "Even mine?" asked Little Nell. "Yes, even yours," said Big Mama, and she leaned over and gave Little Nell a big sloppy kiss, and Little Nell smiled. Happy Halloween! The end. And today we're going to use our pieces, and we're going to make a pumpkin today with a face. All right, so if you want to take your paper clip off, put it to the side. We're going to use our pencil, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a giant round shape for our pumpkin. We're going to use our whole entire piece of paper. So watch me. I'm going to start at the top. Do you see I'm going to start at the top? The very top, and I'm going to go all the way down to the side, all the way down to the bottom, up to the other side, and then all the way up and connect it. I have a giant shape for my pumpkin. Then I'm going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut it out where I drew my line. There we go. All right. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little stem. Now, you can either draw a stem or you can just cut a stem. So I'm just going to cut myself a stem for my pumpkin. I'm going to use my glue stick and put a little bit of glue at the very top of my pumpkin. And then I'm going to stick my stem on. So there's my pumpkin with its stem. Looks good, huh? Okay. Then I'm going to take my white piece of paper. I actually have two. And on one of them, I'm going to fold it in half. Okay, if you need help folding it in half, press pause and go ask Mommy or Daddy to help you fold it in half. And on this paper, I'm going to draw one circle. This is going to be the eye for my pumpkin. Ooh. I'm going to keep my paper folded. And when I cut out one eye here, I'm actually going to have two because my paper's folded. Remember we did that the other day, but instead of your paper being folded, it was stapled? This is another way to do that. So you're drawing one circle, cutting it out, and because your paper was folded, you have two now, right? Look how cute. One eye, two eyes. Now our eye doesn't look finished, so I'm going to use my black marker and I'm going to draw the inside of my eye. Don't color it in all the way. Just draw the black part of the inside of your eye. Okay. Then we're going to use our black paper. Now, it's hard to see on black paper, so you can either use a white crayon or you can use a pencil. And I'm going to draw a big smile. And I'm gonna connect it at the top because we're gonna give our pumpkin some teeth today. All right, so I made a big smile shape and then I connected it at the top. And that is what I'm going to cut out. Oh my goodness, look at this pumpkin. I'm gonna put glue on the back of my piece and I'm gonna glue it where his mouth would be. There's something missing though right here. What is missing? His nose. You can draw with your black marker any kind of nose you want. I'm just gonna do a triangle nose. I'm gonna really make sure I color it in all the way so I don't see any orange underneath. There we go. Then, one more thing. We're gonna use this piece of white paper and we're just gonna cut a strip off. And we're gonna give our pumpkin teeth today. See how I'm making teeth? I'm just cutting them. And then I'm gonna glue them in. However you wanna make his teeth. He's gonna be so silly, smiling with a big, whoa, smile. And I want mommy or daddy to tell them to text me a picture of what your pumpkin looks like. I wanna see them because usually at school, we'd hang them up in the classroom and they're all so spooky. But we'd actually be painting the pumpkin and then making the face out of paper. But we're gonna just make the whole thing out of paper. So he's so cute. So remember, finish your pumpkin and then tell mommy or daddy to text me a picture of it because I really wanna see it. All right.